Welcome to the Circle Investor Podcast. If this is your first time listening to the show, we talk about all things Central Indiana real estate, business, and beyond. If it's not your first time listening to the show, then welcome back. On today's episode, we talk about...
It was just one red flag after another.
The things I've seen in those board meetings, you'd be surprised.
It's where some folks decide to make their last stand. Welcome to another episode of the Circle Investor Podcast. Today we have a great guest with us. We have Amanda Alexander here with us. Thanks for coming on the show with us, Amanda.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, well, by way of intros, Amanda is actually on our team. She's one of our operations managers. She comes with a wealth of experience in property management. Prior to working with Intrigue, you worked with another company that was a little more focused on HOA management.
That's right.
And you're also an aspiring real estate agent. Yeah. So, yeah, we have some great things to get into and talk about. So thanks for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, I'm excited. Excited to kind of go over a few things today.
Yeah, very cool.
So, yeah, tell us a little bit about like your background professionally, how you got to where you are now, especially with like some ideas that we've been talking about internally about potentially some HOA expansion. Like Amanda was the first one on the team to raise her hand and say, I might be interested in heading that up. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about your work history.
Yeah, so I did come from a community HOA background, then jumping in with Ryan and wanting to kind of expand my education in the single family homes type of situation. I noticed the similarities within them, but there are a lot of things on the back end that require you to kind of switch your brain and navigate things a little differently. So essentially the way I hopped into everything, it was more so I originally just wanted to go in as a realtor. I had no expectation to want to see the property management side, I guess just because I kind of heard the horror stories of things. But then I started to go down my rabbit hole of learning things about real estate. And it just, every time you would reach out to a realtor, it was almost like they didn't have that finalized end conversation of being able to give me the education that I wanted once deals were closed. So that's kind of where my interest came to kind of jump over into the property management side. So I started working, doing the community management. And that's like a broad aspect of so many different things. You deal with so many different personalities, depending on the community size, all those things. So
neighborhood drama a little bit.
Yeah.
HOA board drama.
The things I've seen in those board meetings, you'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's where some folks decide to make their last stand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's obviously their playground to do that. If once that kind of opens up that door for people to come in and really give that hoorah speech, they let loose. So I think it's been a journey for sure to kind of know how to learn how to navigate things, learn how to handle all those personalities for sure. My personality is big, which you guys know, so it's not really hard for me to do so. I think it's more so being able to learn how to cater to each personality that you encounter and being able to kind of give them the idea of you have the education, you have the understanding of how to help them without kind of feeding into that drama.
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that Stuart and I talk about a lot, and you've on our weekly ops calls, like I think something I'm always trying to hammer home is like we have to, not just with like the tenants that we work with, or if HOA, like the homeowners, like, but with our clients, the owners of rental properties, like as a property manager, you have to have a backbone.
Yep.
Like when you. And that's not just, to kind of stand up for yourself or stand up for the company that you work for, but it's actually like it's in the people that we work with, tenants and owners, it's in their best interest too, that we kind of stand firm on some principles. And, if you're a yes man in this business or a yes woman, like you are just like setting yourself up. You're setting you and your client up for failure.
Absolutely.
And tell people what they need to know.
We've definitely had some conversations to where I think backbones are very important because they will walk all over you, community or single family. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I think they kind of have that perspective of they're the shot caller in situations, even if whatever they're saying is not like best foot forward. So that has helped me a lot, being able to kind of navigate and putting your assertiveness forward without giving them that attitude, right? They can, they still see the light at the end of the tunnel where it's like we can kind of get to that perspective of where everyone can sort of be happy. we can't make everyone happy, but I've definitely been in situations to where that backbone has helped a lot.
So this is related to what we're talking about. I'm curious, what is something that you wish more people who like yourself previously, who before you got into management, you wish people knew about how the property management world works, how rental properties works? Like, what's just something you wish people understood?
Yeah. I really wish that, which I know in a perfect world, people would have more patience. I think that when, homeowners or tenants, they reach out, they have this perception of, it's like, she's mine. We only work together. It's like, it's just me and her, or, whoever. And it's like, there are certain things that we have to reach out and we have to do our due diligence to work with other people to get things solved.
Yeah.
But they don't see that. All they see is, I've sent you notification that this needs to be done. And even though you're communicating with me constantly to try to let me know, hey, I'm working on it, it's never enough. They want it and they want it now.
The instant gratification.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wish that people just kind of were able to, even if they just seen a glimpse of our day to day and they're able to kind of understand, she might not, respond right away, but I'm working on it. Hey, okay, they can kind of take that for what it is. But I could understand being on the outside looking into before I got into management. I can probably say I was a little bit naive too, thinking maybe people weren't working on stuff without knowing what it takes to actually work for certain things depending on the situation.
It's kind of the human nature. Like, everybody kind of thinks they're the only person that exists.
Yep.
It was like, I always remembered that. I compare it to, if you've been like high school or college, you get to this level of education where you have multiple teachers, you have multiple professors or something. Like, everybody, it's like every professor thinks they're the only professor. So they think they could assign as much work.
Yep.
And you should have all the time to get it done quickly.
Yeah.
And this is due at the end of the week. But
Not knowing I got 5 other things that are due the same day.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Property management can be very similar to that for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own expectation of turnaround times and their needs, and you just kind of got to put that hat on and kind of navigate through.
Yeah.
But calendars have been my best friend. Learning how to navigate certain calendars, now that I'm kind of like spread across the board a little bit, has helped me too.
Yeah.
So I can't rely on my calendar enough.
Yeah.
Calendars and to-do lists. That was a theme of a previous guest that we had. Like, without them, we'd be lost.
Yeah, goodness, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think if somebody ever asks for a meeting with me, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, you guys everybody knows who works with me, because it doesn't matter if it's, somebody who I don't know from Adam that I just like met, online on social media, or somebody who reaches out as a prospective client, or it's somebody like internal, like Stuart or Amanda here. Like, if somebody's like, hey, can we get a meeting on the books to talk about this? I'm like, here's my calendar link.
Yeah.
Like,
you take a look at it. Yeah. Cause I'm just floating off what I got.
Available.
Yep.
Cause I just have to make sure, I think it's the most efficient way for everyone for us to just get a meeting on the books at a time that works for you, that works for me. And it's just so important to, like, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, it's the only way to operate.
Yep. That's a constant battle still. Cause even then, like, you'll have individuals that will reach out to you, and then you might be in the middle of driving or dealing with your kids, and it's like, yeah, I want to tell you, yeah, we'll meet at this time, but
Yeah.
it's not realistic. Every time it's like, yeah, can you please send me a text message at least, the bare minimum, so I can put it on my calendar myself. Because if I can't see it, yeah, it's in the abyss.
I always train my active clients. It doesn't matter if we're actively putting offers in on properties. Like, I just say, like, if we don't have something booked, assume I'm in another meeting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I probably am. Or if I'm not, it's probably one of the few moments I have to myself, like, throughout the day, where I can, eat or or like close my eyes for a second. Like, so I screen calls. I mean, like, if I'm driving, that's probably the only time I might, like, answer if you call me, like, out of the blue.
Yep.
I'll pause my podcast and
Chat with you for a minute.
chat with you. But I will almost always, like, I'll text back immediately, like, hey, I'm busy. Here's my availability. Here's my calendar link.
Yeah. I'm not ignoring you, but
Yeah. Like I see you called.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you, but like get on my calendar because that's what
Yep.
the person I'm currently talking to did.
Yep.
Most likely.
That's how they got me. Acknowledged, but can't help you right now.
100%. So, well, speaking of free time, so I know this probably doesn't happen a lot in property management, but if you have a totally free weekend, what's something you're doing with your time if you're not working?
Yeah, if I'm not working lately, it hasn't been much. I have 2 kids, so typically if I'm not, again, how you said, taking just a moment to myself, just to, even if it's just staring at a wall, like I just need 5 minutes to myself. I spend a lot of time with them. So we're going all these cool places, doing all these cool things. So lately I've really been trying to hone in on the education side of things. As you guys know, I'm trying to work towards my license. So those little free moments, I would love to kick my feet up, but I know that right now I'm kind of in that, I call it gladiator school. So it's kind of like I got to put that foot forward right now. I know I can see the reward after. So yeah, that's what I pretty much dedicate my free time to.
So when you're not working, you're working is what you're saying.
Pretty much. Yeah. In a perfect world, I mean, I would shut all my electronics off and kind of just shove things to the back. I just think within the season of time right now, especially community wise, it's not realistic. I see that slowness in our peak, probably coming. I want to say once things settle off, like maybe Christmas time.
Once the annual meetings are done.
Yeah, those meetings. I could write a book on those meetings. Once the dust kind of settles, I think I would like to do a little bit more traveling, kind of spend some time, even if it's just for a weekend, just going some places and enjoying some few things, because I love to kind of check out new spots. But yeah, so when I'm not working, I'm working.
No, I get it. I like that analogy, gladiator school. It's I mean, I think that's just it's very entrepreneurial kind of mindset to have. I'm taking on the hard times right now so I can have easy times later.
Exactly.
I'm building it up now, putting systems in place. That I can relate to that a lot, actually.
It's all made possible with a good support system at home.
Oh, for sure. Your foundation is huge. Yeah.
I imagine your kids, because they're a little bit older, they're probably nothing but supportive to you, I assume, right? Because they see, like, if you're not working your job, you're working on yourself.
Yep.
So I think that's huge.
I mean, obviously they still have that kid mentality where they're like, well, you can't play a board game with me right this for a second. Just give me 5 minutes and I promise I'll come. But no, they're great. I think they, like, even calls when I have to jump on meetings and I'm at home, if they're out of school, they kind of know if it's like my door's closed, I'm in my office, then they know, like, okay, give mama a little bit of time, but unless they need a snack opened or something, they'll pretty much be all right.
I never understood that when I was a kid, when my mom was like, just leave me alone for an hour.
Just a minute.
It's like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Why would I do that?
Why would I do that? Yeah. What? You don't have anything better to do besides cater to me. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. We have a dynamic with our son where it's like, I mean, it's just, I think it's just the nature of my job, and Lindsay's like he definitely spends more time with Lindsay. And I'm kind of like just like the jealous dad right now, which is like, I come home and he's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you're in our space.
I love you more than anything in the world. And he's like, I want mom.
Yeah. I don't know what you're doing. Good try.
And then Lindsay is just like, I just need to get away from him for a while. Like, can you? And it's like, obviously she loves him like nothing other, but like, it's just, he's very obsessed with Lindsay.
Yep. Yeah. Went through those phases too. I don't really think it ever dies off. But it does get better where they're not as needy, I say. But yeah, my kids didn't care about what dad was doing. He could be living his life and they're like, mom has 12 books in her hand. She's carrying groceries in. And I'm like, can you please stop? Drop
they're
everything.
Like holding onto your leg. Yeah, he like does that to
everything.
Lindsay. I'm like, I'm just watching it. Like, can you stop? Like, you're being weird.
You're being weird. No, it's like, I don't care. Yeah. nature of the beast of a mom for sure.
So going back to the HOA conversation, I'm curious to go a little bit deeper into this because we just had our annual meeting in my neighborhood, and the HOA rep was there, and he was called on a few times.
Yep.
I'm curious, like, do you, like, I'm sure they stress you out, right? And you probably don't necessarily look forward to those meetings.
No, I love them. Yeah,
But I'm curious, like, how often do you get up in front of a room of 100 people and have to speak? Do you enjoy that? Do you not enjoy that? Do you get called out? Do you get complained about a lot? Like, I think our HOA president had a vendetta against our management company, so we've been through like 5 reps in like the last 5 years.
Yep,
So
I believe it.
I'm curious about your experience, like, with those meetings. And
Yeah. So, in a perfect world, again, annual meetings are the show of the community. Mm-hmm. The representative from the management company is strictly there to support, provide whatever the board has requested of them. And I mean, if it gets crazy enough to enjoy some popcorn in the corner while they go at it, but it's really just, it kind of depends on the community. I have communities that I work with, and they're just like, hey, Amanda, sit in the corner, enjoy yourself. Mm-hmm. We'll kind of do the vote, do those things, and then you just tally up what you need to, and then you get out of here. I have also communities to where I'm hands-on the whole time. And I think that's just the nature of me too. I feel like I'm always going to be helpful in a situation to where I can be. But yeah, I think, again, it is their show, but most of the time it's a lot of, I don't want to say bashing, but we are the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have someone in a situation when you're in a room full of people and you're in the hot seat, if I have an scapegoat, they're going to use it every time. So it's been plenty of times where they're like, you guys have done X, Y, Z. And I'm sitting back like, we don't even have anything to do with that. But yeah, so it's kind of just taking the short end of the stick a lot of times. So again, it goes back to that backbone and having thick skin. Can't kind of let that stuff bother you because, again, they're in that hot seat and they're just trying to get out.
Fun times.
Yeah.
People. Yeah.
Well, Ryan and I have talked about it, just him and I, and I know I've said this to you too. Like, that's one fact that we like about you is that you're not afraid to kind of get your elbows out when you have to.
Yeah.
But you're good about towing the line between, like, coming off as unprofessional or anything like that. It's I'm not afraid to stand up for myself, and you have to have that in those meetings. I've seen very ugly HOA meetings.
Yeah.
And they can get pretty wild.
Yeah, they definitely can. But I think, again, kind of how you said, if you kind of go through that situation to where they've had multiple managers, then that trust is broken. So I don't come in with the expectation that you guys are going to, rainbows and unicorns. Something has been wrong. Now, whether it's been on our end or on the community's end, again, they're going to look at any blame. They're going to play the blame game any way that they can to say it's not them, because they don't want these people coming to them in their own homes, in their own communities, pointing the finger. They don't see us every day. So if they can put something on us, then they will. But it also, again, in management in single-family homes, like with Intrigue, I constantly have to kind of communicate, work with homeowners, and build that relationship with them, because they might start off rocky. They might not trust, they came from a poor management company to where they just don't have a lot of trust.
Yeah.
So you kind of just got to build it up as you go.
Yeah, I feel like we deal with that a lot, where we know when we're inheriting a client kind of from another management situation, or even if they were self-managing, building that trust always, it always takes time. And sometimes it's almost like you feel like you can never fully get it to the level that you want. That's almost a pretty good transition into one. Sometimes we write down things that we're like, this is stuff we want people to stop doing in real estate, sort of like our pet peeves about, like, and on the management side, it's like we deal with so many investors that want to micromanage everything the property manager does, or on the other side, they want to completely ghost us. And there's a happy medium, and we've had clients that do both, where it's like they come in and they micromanage and then they disappear for a month.
They're like, you guys got it,
and then they come back and then like, well, why didn't you? Why'd you do this? It's like, well, we couldn't get a hold of you.
Yeah. You left us out in the desert for 6 months. Didn't have a choice.
Yeah, so it's kind of like wanting to have it both ways, wanting to have it done exactly the way they would do it, but then also not have to take any responsibility for things not going the way they want it to, even though we did it exactly the way they wanted us to.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like it's a delicate balance, and we're I think that's something we always like kind of get into, is that this is a partnership with
Absolutely.
our clients, right? So I don't know, that's is that something that you like Stuart said, I feel like you do a good job of that thing that I find very difficult to teach people, which is like having a backbone but also staying professional, like towing that line of like telling people what they need to know, but in a way that's like, I'm on the same side as you, but I'm just trying to help you, get what, get where you're trying to go.
It's that realistic side of things that I think people don't want to see. Stuart always says this. We say it every time. They just can't get out of their own way. Mm-hmm. And you'll have these owners that come in, whether they've came from terrible situations or kind of how you said they're self-managing. So they're just so stuck in their ways of how they want things done. They're not willing to put themselves aside and let you kind of run it as you see fit based off of helping them. Like, we can kind of see the bigger picture, and we're not perfect, right? I mean, it's obviously about building that relationship together so I can help you help me type of situation. But I think we will never just have that straightforward type of everyone that we work with that's just giving us like, okay, these are the praises. You do what you see fit. We're always going to go with what you say type of situation. So that's where that really helps me. Being able to kind of just, hey, let's be realistic here. I'm not trying to tell you what to specifically do with this, but I've mapped out a road that I think might be a little bit easier for you to travel. So let's kind of work together to see if we can go down this road seamlessly. And if we figure out different ways that, this doesn't work for you, we can come back and kind of powwow and figure something else out. That's kind of how I kind of try to build my relationships. Not like, hey, this is how I'm going to do this, if you like it or not. I want people to feel comfortable with me, to be able to come with me, tell me, what they like, what they don't like, and then we can kind of navigate from there.
I just had an idea for like a fun thing we can do right now with this with this thing, and we can, we can cut all this out if this ends up being something we can't put out publicly. But I'm just thinking, we're speaking in generalities here of like, just these kinds of just tensions we deal with owners. I know you have experience working on our team with, managing, we could just say some owners are just easier to work with than others.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you encounter challenging owners to like to that point of like helping them get out of their own way. Can you describe like a recent situation? Feel free to, use this podcast to vent, because I think it's valuable for people to hear like this kind of side of it that just doesn't get shared publicly a lot. But obviously we can redact names and addresses, but like go
get them, you guys.
So can you describe like kind of a recent like situation that you had to deal with and kind of how the owner responded? And
again, transitional phase. I think the most recent one, transitioned over, just purchased the home, as you guys know. Ideally just didn't want to be involved at all. Just said, hey, figure this out. Here's the address. I don't know what you're going to do with it, but figure it out. And I'm like, okay, let me just try to put my big girl pants on and figure this out. So communication amongst the owner, communication amongst the agency where we were trying to get the information from. It was like I'm beating a brick wall at this point. I couldn't get what I needed to do my job. But the expectation from that owner to do my job was still there. So it's like, if you're not giving me the tools to garden, I can't grow a flower. So I don't know what you want me to do in perspective to help you. So it was just, I think we just kind of started off that way because he had kind of like that idea of, hey, this is your job. You're supposed to be perfect at it, right? You should know how to do this. But
and I think I know the specific one you're talking about. And it's because I got looped in on these communications, on these emails, and so this was, we could say, as a duplex. There's enough duplexes; it doesn't narrow it down too much, but duplex that a new client of ours purchased, through. That didn't work with us on the agency side, but purchased this duplex where, one of the tenants was Section 8,
Yep.
like it's the HUD program, which if you're in Indianapolis and you do anything with Section 8, like that they can be, there's a lot of good reasons to be involved with them, but one of them is not if you want quick communication, because that's,
or if you have anything else to do during your day except for call them.
Yeah. So they can be just very slow on communication. They're a government agency, which means like they do always eventually do their job, but they're just going to do it at their own, their own pace. And there's nothing you can do about it. If you decide to work with them, if you decide to have, a Section 8, tenants at your property, that's just one of the things that you are signing up for. So I think that was one of the challenges with this client was we couldn't have that conversation with them before. We weren't involved in the purchase. So after they close on this property, they come in with these expectations that like, oh, here's the rent rate. I'm hiring Intrigue to manage the property. I expect to have that money in my account yesterday.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, hold on. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. We need to receive the money from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come from the tenant. It's going to come from this, this Section 8 program. And that it goes back to what you're saying, teaching people to have patience. Like we're doing everything we can. And that's something I've seen in a couple of different contexts where the clients that will introduce arbitrary deadlines. That's something that this one did, where it's like as things were just starting to, I think, unravel, where we're providing him with updates, which is like the update is we don't have an update. We're waiting to hear from this our contact at Section 8. And they're telling us they're working on it, but that's where we're at right now. And him coming back to us like, well, I need the money in my account in 24 hours or I'm switching management companies. So it's like, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry
there's
to
nothing
see you
we
go.
can do about
I
that,
don't know what you want.
It was just one red flag after another. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but you went as far as reaching out to, through the agency where he purchased the property, you reached out to the previous owner of the property because I think funds were being sent to him.
Exactly.
And so it was just a web that you were trying to figure out with no real direction at all. Yeah. When in your previous analogy, like a lot of what you do is like you're the GPS, like mapping out the most efficient path. You're free to take a left or take a right whenever you want, but like your GPS wasn't even powered that day.
Oh my gosh, there was no power to it. And I think that's just the nature of myself. If I can try to, obviously I'm representing Intrigue as well as myself. And it was just, I was literally caught in between a rock and a hard space. Mm-hmm. There was no way for me to actually navigate the situation because one, I wasn't set up for success from the beginning. Mm-hmm. I think it was kind of this unrealistic expectation from this person without them actually having the back end of everything. They didn't even have the knowledge of what was really going on with the property. So they just kind of handed it over and was like, figure it out. Mm-hmm. They thought all the ducks were in a row. And in reality, I had no ducks. There was nothing there. So again, you can't make everybody happy. But that's why I genuinely wish that owners too would kind of have that realistic perception of what is really going on. Like we can handle a lot of things without you being involved in the day-to-day, but you also have to give me the tools to succeed because there's no way for me to kind of give you a diamond and you have given me nothing to mine with. Like I have nothing to get you to the end to where you want to be.
Yeah.
But they just don't, they don't care. They don't want to be involved. They're just looking for that outcome of income. Or they truly just don't understand the process of what it takes for that property to come on board.
Yeah, that's probably one of our more common stories when we end up with just a sort of a problem client is, they bought this property like through a wholesaler or maybe an agent that just doesn't normally do rental properties, and they're investing from out of state. They bought this property that they think is a diamond, and really it's a dud.
Yeah.
Like it's a property that could have potential, but it's like we walk it and we're like, you got to put $15K into this thing, and they think they got it turnkey, perfect condition, and then we'll communicate. Market rent rate is $1,200 a month, and they're like, I think we can get $1,500.
Yeah.
And who knows? Like maybe that expectation was given to them, or they just assess that themselves by looking at other unrealistic listings on Zillow. Or something like that, and we encounter things like that so much, and so much of this job is just setting expectations and trying to like help people understand what it is they own and how they could best be successful with it.
Absolutely, those are my favorite. The buyers that may not have even walked the property, they just blindly purchase something, and they're like, this is a golden egg, and it absolutely rarely is that the situation. But then we give them the advice of, hey, this is what we can do to try to get towards that golden egg, but they're like, nope, it's perfect already.
You mean I need to invest in upgrading?
Even
that's not part of my plan.
Oh gosh, no. How would we ever do that?
Well, speaking of capital expenditures, just for the record, for new or experienced investors listening to this, another red flag from the property management side that we just love to hear is, where's that rent money at? I have other mortgages to pay.
Yeah, I wish I haven't heard that as many times as I've heard that.
Yeah. Especially
No
when you're
kidding.
working with a client for a week.
A week,
And you hear that, you're just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I already see the writing on the wall here.
That's when I start checking the outstanding vendor bills we have on the property, and I'm like, let's make sure these get paid ASAP.
Yeah.
Because things are
Gonna go left real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if we don't give them the answer that they want, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those pieces of common sense advice that you wouldn't expect you'd have to give, but maybe as much as I do think that investing in real estate is a great way to grow wealth, maybe don't invest in real estate if you are dependent on that property being cash flow positive every month so that you can pay your bills in your personal life.
Yeah.
That's
Bingo.
You're not in a position to own that rental property at that point, and you should, honestly, you should sell.
I think every property management company in the world would appreciate you to say that for the people in the back, because I don't think it's said enough. But again, to owners, it's not unrealistic. Like, it's like, you guys should have this money to me, like Ryan said, by yesterday. But they don't see the hurdles that we have to jump through to get that. And it's just, again, just another opportunity for them to complain and to think that we're not doing something that we're supposed to be doing, when, again, they have no idea the back end of what we do.
Yeah. Well, and I will say, just to be fair, because there might be people listening to this like, well, I had to micromanage my management company because I would have never been paid rent if I didn't. And whether that's true or not, I mean, I do kind of understand owners that have this that feel like they have to stay very hands-on because they've been burned in the past. So I guess it's important to acknowledge, like, there are bad actors in the management business for sure. People that are just kind of offering a service and sort of just there to collect a fee, but really provide no value. I like to think that Intrigue is very far from being levels above that, in that we are providing every piece of value that we can. But at the end of the day, like, there are realities. Like, if a tenant's not paying their rent, like, we're not the management company that's going to go over there with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
like that. And if you think that there is, I think I actually, sometimes when I'm talking to owners, I think that they maybe they're just like, how are we going to collect rent this month? I'm like, what are you envisioning me doing?
Going to do right now. Yeah. What is happening? Yeah.
Because I'll kind of like, just like we have lots of different like kind of escalation policies in place where, if a tenant's not paying their rent, like we will deliver notice and we will, escalate towards eviction if we have to. We'll make suggestions to subsidy programs, like if they've lost their job or something. Like there's lots of tools, professional tools that property managers can use to help a tenant that is delinquent on their rent get back in good standing. And we leverage all of those. That's where I do think some management companies do fall short, is like not leveraging all of the professional tools at their disposal. But yeah, we're not going over there with a Louisville Slugger, and just like, we're not strong arming people into paying rent. That's just not, that's not how this business works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's lots more
we could say. Is that a tough one to transition from?
It is a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I'm envisioning Ryan.
Speaking of baseball,
6'4",
swinging. Yeah, speaking of baseball,
tapping on the window with a
Hey, didn't pay us this month. What's going on? Yeah, this account's looking a little slim over here.
Actually, this is a perfect piece to cut out. That's why I was saying earlier, like we're not live, so don't stress about anything. A good article, especially because Amanda moved from Canada to Indianapolis.
Yeah, well, I'm from here, but I was living there. I was living abroad for a few years.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go, because I think probably part of this is going to get cut. So we'll do kind of. So yeah, we sometimes like to bring up articles that are sort of around real estate in Central Indiana, and so you're from Indiana originally.
Yep. Indianapolis.
But you haven't always lived here throughout your whole life. So
no.
you've gone and you've come back.
Yeah, I've gone and I've come back. So for roughly, about 6 years, I was living abroad in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool to experience so many different things of how, we do things here and how they do things up there. It's pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, this article gets into, I'll just read the headline. It says, after living in NYC and Chicago, I moved to a mid-sized Midwestern city. It's been great for my wallet and lifestyle. And the Midwestern city they're talking about, spoiler, is Indianapolis, where we are recording this podcast. So yeah, it goes on to say, like, I lived in Chicago, but I decided to move to a smaller, new to me. So this person, Savannah, I should say this was written by Savannah Bourne, it's the article in Business Insider. And she I guess had, was new to Indianapolis, but basically moved here to save money and kind of be able to live a better lifestyle in a less expensive market. But she says she grew up in Chicago, then moved away for college, pursued an internship in New York City, living in Manhattan and commuting to Rockefeller Center were some of the most magical experiences of my life. I've been to Manhattan a few times. I could see that. Very, very cool. Really, really fun city. I love just riding the subway. It's like, it just feels, it's like it is America's city in so many ways.
Experiences, yeah.
The city itself checked almost every box, and I thrived in its lively urban energy. I returned to college with newfound confidence. Okay. Talking about New York City wasn't a good long-term fit for me. Cost was a major factor in my decision not to return to New York. Manhattan was a thrill, but rent alone set me back thousands of dollars a month, and I lived in a small studio apartment. Food, entertainment, and transportation added thousands more. Every trip to the grocery store felt like a punch in the stomach. Each credit card statement reminded me that I was in an unsustainable territory. She goes on to say, my cost of living started to take a toll on my well-being. After about 4 months in Manhattan, I realized that unless I had an investment banker's salary or a trust fund or both. Living in the city didn't make sense for me or align with my goals. Seemingly every dollar I made went to the basics, and I had nothing left over to visit friends and family or save for retirement. So in 2024, I made the move to Indianapolis. She talks about Indy's stats. It's mid-sized cities with population. So the city center, I believe, is around 800,000, which is about 10% the size of New York City. Given it's so much smaller, I half expected Indianapolis to look like a dull, old painting with barren streets and sleepy energy.
Goodness.
However, it turned out to be a bustling, vibrant city that had just about everything I loved in NYC. But actually, Indianapolis has telltale characteristics of a larger city, including sports, concerts, diversity, and top-tier restaurants, but with a much lower price tag. So, yeah, essentially, she's describing that, like, after, like, experiencing Chicago and New York,
which those are hard to follow up with, yeah.
There's tough cities. They're tough acts to follow. Like I've spent time in both those cities. They're amazing cities.
Amazing, yeah.
But they're amazing cities to visit. And so my wife and I, we like to travel when we can. We actually just went to New York City for our anniversary back in September, and it comes up every time. Like she's pulling up like listings in Jersey City. Like, oh, should we? And I'm like,
we're like, no.
Yeah, I'm like, no, I run a business in India. Like, you forget. Like, it's like,
yeah.
What? Like, how are we going to do this?
One of you has to be the dreamer. Right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've taken turns. But it's just like that. It crosses your mind, I think, like, if you're like us, like, every time you go to a new city, like, could I live here? Like, is this, like, what would that be like? And I always come back to that. Like, these are really cool places to visit where, like, I've budgeted for a week.
Yep.
Of like, I'm going to pay for a hotel, I'm going to pay for transportation and all the eating out. But like, the day to day, I'm probably not going to be doing any of the fun stuff that I'm doing while I'm visiting this city. I'm going to be just like this person said, that stood out to me. Like, every penny I make is just going to the basics of my survival here. And every friend that I have that lives in like New York or LA, that's like how they describe. They're like, oh, I don't like in LA. Like, I don't go to the beach. I don't do anything fun.
Yeah.
Like, I grind.
So
I could live here.
Just so I can live here. Yeah.
Yeah. I have family members who are in that journey right now where they're living in New York, New Jersey, LA, but I think they're 3 or 4 years post grad from college and they know what's coming. Like, their oldest sibling has already moved back to Indianapolis. So they kind of know. I'm curious actually, like, what was the cost of living like in Canada relative to Indianapolis?
Yeah, that's something I kind of don't know. Yeah, Calgary.
It was pretty high. So Alberta is growing within itself. So the Providence, as opposed to like Calgary is a like very rapidly growing city within Alberta. So I think prices started to go up from once I moved there to like the year after year, prices were kind of going up because they were seeing more people that were moving to the city. So they took advantage of that, right? But definitely when I came back here, I was much more thankful. My pockets were much more thankful. Yeah. So the American dollar, as you guys know, is higher than the Canadian dollar.
Yeah. They've had inflation issues for like longer than like we have that now here too, more so, but like they've had it for longer. Right?
Exactly. So we were dealing with a lot of things that were coming from the States that were coming there. And obviously living in the States my whole life, those are the things that I knew that I lived off of. So it's like I'm paying these higher prices for things. I might pay $5 where I'm paying 10 there. So it's double the cost. Beautiful city to live in. Very expensive.
I'm trying to think. I'm a little rusty on my Canadian. Like Alberta, is that sort of like over Montana? Like,
it's So you can. That's when we actually drove there, which is crazy to say. I've driven that route 3 times, and we went through Montana to cross the border. So Alberta is just about as high as you can go. Like, we're way at the top.
Because there's a lot of mountains around there, right?
Yeah, again, beautiful. You can see them depending on the season. Beautiful, beautiful place to live. So there's lots of tourist spots. There's a place there called Banff. We would travel. Banff. Yeah, we traveled to a lot because it was really close, like within like an hour and some change. Nice trails, super beautiful walkways, parks. But again, to experience those things and then to come back here, even experiencing those and being able to reach it within an hour, it's like, it's great. But to live there long term, it was never really the goal.
That's where your backbone comes from. It must. Right? Canadian winters.
Oh my goodness. I remember one winter, we were there. It was like the coldest winter that they had in years. The inside of our doorknobs were freezing. Like I'd never seen anything like this in my life. It was literally frost on the inside of our doors to where like there was just so many cars on the sides of the road. People couldn't get their cars started. It was insane. Like I'm talking negative 40 degrees.
Man, that's like when it reaches a level where you're just like, you're starting to look at your food supply.
Yeah.
You're like, I can't leave the house.
Go outside. Yeah, for sure. The stores were bare.
Yeah.
When we went through that winter, I remember that very vividly. It was insane. It literally looked like an apocalypse. Something was happening and you knew. It's like you just went in for the bare minimum. Toilet paper. There's nothing. What is going on here? So yeah, I'm definitely happy now. Like I'm not a super fan of big coats. There was no way that you can go outside without a coat. Like you're going outside with a coat that's down to your ankles at this point.
Yeah, it's survival at that. It's not about being warm. It's about not freezing.
Not freezing, exactly. Like style is out the window there. You just got to worry about not getting frostbite.
Yeah.
As someone who doesn't love winter, that sounds terrible.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Well, I also think that's because I think this podcast, a lot of our listeners are going to be, maybe they live in warmer places like Florida, Texas, California, and I speak to a lot of out-of-state investors that will reach out and they're like, "So tell me about like how bad is the winter in Indianapolis?" And I think that people and I grew up in California, so I kind of like, I know what this mentality is. You have this like, there's this like California and then everything else kind of thing. It's like, it exists. Like, I know. But I think there's a thing that happens with the Midwest specifically in the mind of somebody who's from like the West Coast or like down south, where it's like all of the Midwest is just cold. And like, but I think I always try to kind of break that or educate, and like there's a huge difference between Indianapolis and Minnesota.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Like, and definitely Indianapolis and Canada, but like it's Michigan, which is like the north point of Michigan. You hear people talk like in Michigan talking about crazy winters and stuff, but like you got to realize that's 8 hours north of us. Exactly. Like it gets like the north point of Michigan is like, it can be up to like 10 hours, like up in the UP. But yeah, so that's why I kind of describe Indiana's climate as like, well, think about it this way. It's 4 hours to Chicago and it's 4 hours to Nashville. Mm-hmm. So think halfway between Chicago and Nashville. That's
a good way to put it.
That's what our climate's like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
The winters are bad relative to our summers, but they're like 10 degrees and snowing is much different than 95 and humid. But like if you're an out-of-state investor talking to one of us, leave your faucet dripping overnight. Your pipes aren't going to automatically explode just because it's wintertime here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we only have what you kind of described. Like, I mean, I've never seen it -40 in Indy, but like that sort of, when it gets to that real cold where it's like, okay, it's like 0 degrees Fahrenheit, like these are sub-freezing temperatures. We have like a week, like maybe a week or two that it gets to that level. Mostly we're just kind of flirting around that 30 degree Fahrenheit, like barely freezing, that's not scary.
That's nothing.
Throw a jacket on, you'll be fine.
You'll be all right. Yeah.
It's either going to be like wet, sticky snow, or it's going to be dry snow. That's the difference.
That's definitely the difference. And I'm so appreciative. Calgary was very dry. Mm-hmm. So even though it was really, really cold, it wasn't that wet cold. So I was appreciative of that, I guess. You kind of got to look at your glass half full there. But yeah, if you're just not a winter fan, I would definitely say visit Canada in the summertime when it's amazing, and then tote yourself back because it's just not for the week for sure.
That is a funny thing with me with like the clients that, you know, invest in Indiana but like haven't been out here. Like I always just try to encourage people, like, just come out, check it out. Yeah. Like if you want to own property here, you know,
come in the fall.
Like yeah.
Yeah. Don't come when the snow hits the ground, because you might change your perspective, especially if you're coming from somewhere where it's 80 plus degrees every day.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think I always tease my family out in California because it's like, you guys, you just don't. Like, you don't know how weak you sound to Midwesterners. like
you're worried about 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Like this is the attire for 40 degrees.
Got a nice sweater on. I always think it's so funny when I have family in California too. And they come and they visit, and they're like in the biggest of. They're like, "Do you need snow pants?" No. Like, where are you going?
You know where that comes from? I know this from being in Californians do associate snow with snow activities. That's the difference between the mindset of like a Californian and like, if you're in the Midwest, you associate snow as like, that's that thing that's in my way from getting to work. So it's just snow is just like, it's just there. But when you're in growing up in California, that was like in the winter, we would know like, okay, we're going to the mountains, because California has Sierra Nevadas, they have the mountains. So we'll all be wearing snow pants. We're gonna go to the mountains. We're gonna sled. We're gonna snowboard, ski, that kind of thing. So that is a very specifically, and it's not even a Colorado thing or a Utah thing, because they also have a winter where their like populations are. It's specifically California, because they don't have real winter down like on like the lower elevations, but they can go to the winter. And so they just associate snow with like, I have to be wearing snow pants and a snow jacket.
Yeah.
It's a playground.
You look crazy. Yeah. It's like,
and it's like everyone would look at you sideways if you were in any Midwestern city and you're wearing snow pants.
Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. It's so funny because the majority of my kids, like their really young years, they were in Canada for them. And when we moved back, like their schools in Canada, they had like snow boots and snow pants and like these thick jackets. And they come back here and they're like, "Mom, I need snow boots, snow pants." I'm like, "You really don't. Like, I promise. It's all right." Yeah.
It's not going to be what you're used to.
Maybe some snow boots just, to kind of get you to from the car into school, and you can change into your sneakers. I promise you're not going to freeze. I remember them being so confused when we came back. It's hilarious.
It is funny how it's always like based on some sort of practical reason, but those regional, there's little variations in climate, like just really change kind of the norm.
It's not uncommon to see like native Hoosiers in shorts during the winter here.
I'm just coming here, just literally seeing somebody in shorts, and it's like, as long as my chest is covered, they're fine. They got a nice hoodie on and some shorts. Like, live your life.
Find heat eventually.
Not gonna freeze to death.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while now. So this has been awesome getting to talk to you, Amanda. Appreciate you coming in, taking the time. If you have anything to plug, like, where can people find you?
So I'm Instagram. I'm on TikTok now, which I kind of converted to the dark side. My Instagram is just XO Amanda K. So you can find me there. It's pretty much where I just do fun stuff, nothing crazy. On my TikTok, same tag. I do a lot of food reviews. I've just started to get my feet wet into it, so don't be too cruel on me. But yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you guys for listening to the show. This is it for this one.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Amanda.
Thanks for having me, guys.
If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and like the episode and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. That really helps us out.
If you think someone that you know could benefit from hearing the things that we talked about on today's episode, please share it with them.
You can check out our full library of episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have any suggestions for the show, like who we should interview or a topic we should discuss, please email us at circleinvestorpod@gmail.com.
That's it for today, but join us right back here next week for another episode of the Circle Investor Podcast.